Hey there, I'm Lise Colucci, and today we're going to talk about when you have been in a relationship or have been raised by a narcissistic person, how you lose your sense of self, you lose your identity, and you lose even knowing what you like and all of that stuff. So we'll get started in just a second. If you need anything, if you are seeking help, seeking coaching, seeking support, check out the information in the main description of all the videos. There are links there to get you started. And there's an email. If you have questions further, you can always email me. So, hey, Chris, let's get going with talking about feeling lost after being with a toxic person. So, toxic relationships are confusing by nature. So let's just skip over the being raised by it part because that's a whole bigger picture, and let's just talk about like incidents of when you're with toxic people, because what happens is regardless of how you came about being around toxic people, every time you encounter one and they become part of your life, you start losing more and more parts of yourself. So whether it came from the beginning or whether it came later on, let's just sort of talk in general for a minute. The toxic, they're super confusing. You lose your identity because you wrap your whole world up in maintaining the relationship, staying safe, so to speak, right? Staying well, as safe as one can be, meaning trying to mitigate and reduce the effects of the toxic thing the person is doing to you. And so you spend your time basically focusing outside of yourself, focusing on maintaining and fixing or whatever this thing you're calling a relationship with this toxic person. And there's no time for self. There is no room for self. And not only that, but every time you do try to put effort into yourself or try to even know what it is you're thinking or feeling, that toxic person will shoot you down and knock you off the pedestal, they will devalue you, they will criticize you, they will tell you you're selfish, you're toxic, you're all these things just for trying to take care of yourself. So they don't want the focus off of them. They want the focus on them, which means your whole life revolves around that. Even people trying to get out spend their time managing how they're going to be within that relationship. Does that make sense? Everything's going toward it, all your energy and all your focus. So, of course, you feel lost. You may feel like you no longer have a sense of direction, um, or basically any focus for your life, whether you're with them or whether you've just left them. And this is super common. Obviously, I just explained it, but um, all of that focus and attention is it's the supply, right? And so you're so busy feeding supply unknowingly or knowingly or mostly unknowingly, right, toward that toxic person just by trying to survive them and just by trying to function. Oh, my dog's going to sing, of course. Hey, hey, you're quiet right now. She wants something other than what we're doing. So, I'm looking at notes here, so that's why I'm looking down here. So it's very normal to have this sense of loss, and it's very common to experience this. And so what do you do? Right? Tell me, you guys, have you gone through this? You guys who are in chat, and what have you done to sort of reclaim your life? It's really hard. It's not like boom, the person's gone and suddenly you're back doing the things you love. People forget the things they love. People forget the things they even like. They forget what they're interested in, or they know what they're interested in their head and they go and try it and they're like, yeah, this doesn't feel the same. It's not fun anymore. They lose a sense of joy. You lose your sense of being able to experience life on your own. You sometimes are um, so codependent that it's difficult to be alone, or you self isolate to protect yourself and so you're not engaging in life. And you know some people need that isolation and seclusion because that's what they prefer in their life, and other people that can be a trap in itself. So it's like it really needs to be a matter of what works for you and finding what works for you through trying a bunch of different things. Okay, so T is saying isolation, total isolation. I went through that for a long time. Chris is saying just looking to focus on myself, but feeling too lost to even know who I was. Exactly. So you're kind of standing like in this, I don't know, it feels like an invisible force field, right? Where you're like, oh my gosh, I need my own life. And then you're stuck behind this web of not even knowing what it is that you're working toward or where you're going. It's um uh Solave, is that right? I don't know how to have fun anymore. Exactly. See, what happens is not only are you focusing when you're in the toxic relationship or you're still trauma bonded and perseverating and like ruminating about the toxic relationship, or you have this unresolvedness about it, your focus is still on the thing that you're needing to sort of, if you felt everything you needed to feel about it all at once, it would be overwhelming, right? So we're spending a lot of our time just sort of blocking that. We're blocking the ability to feel all of it, right? And by blocking any emotion, we're blocking the joy as well. We're blocking our sense of wonder, our sense of curiosity, all the things that lead us toward what we want for our life. I know what my dog wants. Hey, 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 hey. Okay. So, yes, so when you are stuck in that, and it really does feel stuck, it's like having glue on your feet and you can't move, and you can't, because so there are ways to begin to experience the joys for yourself and to wake up your emotions, and know that when your emotions start waking up, you're going to feel more. It's going to go through all kinds of things where you're comfortable and you're uncomfortable, where you feel the joy, but uh-oh, now you feel all the grief. We got to feel our way through this to heal it on some level, right? I mean, everyone says so. Anyway, so let's see what else we're saying here. Hello to everyone who's over here. So if you've come over here from the text I sent, texting is going to go. So there'll no longer be a texting notification for right now. And if there is one, it will be a different system. So we'll have to start over with that. So if you are new here, or if you've come over from that, please hit subscribe. And that way, at least you'll get the notifications for the channel so that you can join me. I'm trying to get on here every week and continue doing live streams. So please do that if that's interesting to you. Okay. Misty, I'm a person who avoids things. 5 years after the relationship is over, I still avoid everything that makes me uncomfortable. Isn't it? Yeah. Okay. So really what I'm hearing is in this is it's in seeing who you are, discovering what it is about yourself that you wish to make changes for. Or perhaps, Misty, you like being that way, and that's okay. Perhaps you do not. And so then that's something you need potentially to be looking at so that you can work to make changes there, right? Because the thing is, and I say this over and over again, we didn't put ourselves here. We did not ask for toxic people to come into our life and do all the things they've done and manipulate us and create the patterns in our brains, give us CPTSD so that our hippocampus is now atrophied and we are experiencing trauma and flashbacks and all that crap. We didn't ask for any of it, right? We didn't ask for people that we love to emotionally manipulate us. Almost said the word I can't say on here. We did not ask for it. It was not our fault. It was not your fault. Okay. However, healing is your responsibility. Not fair, but true. And the truth of that that's beautiful is that you get to create what it will be for you as you are healing. You get to take what works and you get to throw away what is not working. You get to choose for yourself. And if you're not at a place in your life of choosing yet, just know that that becomes an opportunity for you. And that opportunity to make choice is what leads you to the topic of this, which is finding yourself again after a toxic person. So keep going, keep trying new things and discovering things for yourself, and understanding that yes, it's not fair, you're here, and also it is your responsibility to take care of yourself now. Unfortunately, that's the way it works. There isn't anyone who can just magic. If I could magic it, I would do it, my friends. If I could like sprinkle fairy dust and everyone would be happy, that'd be great, but it doesn't work like that. So and Chris is saying, just finding myself again now. Had a counselor tell me not to stop myself from doing what I want to do just because of him. Good. Yes, and that's true. We have to have the contrast. Here's the thing. If you're still with a toxic person, you can't get out, you're low contact, you are trying to leave, trying to break trauma bonds. Sometimes the contrast of allowing yourself to have some fun and enjoy things in life, even though you've got this going on, can make it so uncomfortable around that toxic person that you're finally able to leave. It can be the last thing. It can be, what do people say? What was the thing? What was the final thing? The final blow, the straw, whatever, on the camel's back, whatever. What was it? It can be that. It can be seeing that, oh my gosh, life is full of joy and beauty. Home is not so much, or mom or dad are not so much at all, not even a little. And then that's enough. You're done. Right. So it can be useful. It can also be useful in making sure you maintain a piece of self. Hard enough in any relationship at all to maintain self, because we're so focused on the relationship. The more codependent we are, the more that is true. Right. It's a challenge. So here's the thing. We have to have a life for ourselves. We have to be working toward goals and have aims and focuses outside of the relationships that we have, that are simply for self. It's not selfish, it's not self-serving, it's not self anything. It's self-focused, it's self-care, it's self-directed. And it's what makes people feel whole and have value and worth in their life, because your value and worth right now, if you're with a toxic person, is about that toxic person, and what they do with it is step on it. They don't build you up. So, okay, my narcissistic mom, Kathleen, says, keeps trying to hoover me back in, struggling with the grief of it all. Ugh. 3 consecutive wrong counselors. Yeah, and that's what they do, right? They just keep hoovering you back in, the guilt trips, the shaming, all of it. I mean, I don't know what her tactics are, but there's tactics that they use to pull you back in. Talk to me about the grief of it, and what are you struggling with in it? Maybe we can get somewhere to help you. Anyway, let's go back to this while we're waiting for that. And okay, what am I saying here? I said, what did I even say here? Sorry. I don't know what I said, but I'm going to say something different instead. I'm laughing at me. So, how do you help yourself when you're feeling lost? I always like to start this with a problem. If you're new here, or if you know me, I like to start with the problem, and then I move to possible opportunities to find solution, or possible ways to look at things, possible ways to shift perspectives. Pretty much every video I do that, even if it's only a couple sentences. So it's kind of what I do. And so we're going to do that now. What can you do if you feel lost to yourself? You can't just stay there forever. Well, you can, but that will be very uncomfortable for you. And your life will be about following other people instead of your own authentic self, right? So look for your uniqueness. And I don't mean that, like, look for what it is about you that makes you you, in a really simple way. For instance, if I am out walking, I get lost in thought about the stuff that's going on in my head. That is not me. That is me focusing externally on everything else and internalizing it and worrying and whatever and all that stuff going on in my head over and over, right? So excuse me, okay, if I'm out walking and I'm doing that, I'm not being with myself. I'm being with these horrible, perseverating thoughts, right? If I then take some breaths and go, okay, I'm done with that, and intentionally put my focus on what I'm observing, how I'm feeling, what I'm experiencing, the temperature, like the body sensations, the temperature, the way the the sunlight hits or the rain is falling or whatever, and I start focusing on that, I start experiencing the world around me in the present moment. The closer I get to that present moment, the more I can feel like myself. And it isn't a grand thought. It isn't super like big. It's simple. It's just me being me. And then the funny thoughts start happening, or the thoughts that make me feel like the things I observe and I go, oh, that's interesting that I enjoy looking at these particular things. I wonder what else there is to see. And so my curiosity opens up. And a simple walk can go from exercise to something that is very useful for healing and very useful for continuing to stay on a healing path instead of falling back into patterns of taking care of everybody else, or which is my thing, or taking care of, or feeling the pain, which is some people's thing, right? Like it just depends who you are. So that's what I mean by find your uniqueness, find your you-ness in simple things over and over every single day, because it's the only place you have. It's the only time you have to have a moment with yourself sometimes. And in that, you'll discover more about who you are, so that when you're doing something really inauthentic, like totally going into codependency, you catch it and you go, wait a minute, that's not what I wish to be. And you're able to change it. And then you stop feeling so lost because you're actually making some direction in your life. And hello, Red-Headed Riding Hood and Jack and Amanda, and let's see what else we got here. Push yourself to go outside, says Chris. Outside of your box. Outside. I'm like, it's sunny here. Finally, I'm all about the outside. Okay. Push yourself to go outside of your box. Let everyone see how happy you are. I am out of the relationship. Heck yeah. If you can do that, do it. Right. And, here's the thing, when we're recovering from toxic relationships, it's not going to feel comfortable all the time. It's not going to feel comfortable to do things differently. It's not going to feel comfortable to put yourself first. It's not going to feel comfortable to set boundaries with people. All the things you need to do, which help you discover who you are and remember who you are and be who you are, aren't going to feel comfortable because you're used to doing things a different way. You're used to doing things to placate and take care of other people. You're used to doing things to smooth the waters. Hang on. I'm just going to like completely, like one little tickle. Okay. You're getting better at recognizing codependency in myself and the behaviors. Right. And as you step outside of that, you step inside of your own space and your own, like, who you are. And of course you're still able to help people and you're still able to give to people. You're just doing it from an entirely different perspective, right? Like to be able to um thank you, T. To be able to do that, to be able to do sorry, just went into it. What was I saying? Okay, let's move on. Okay, look what your personal needs are and make sure you're giving those to yourself. If you're feeling depleted, if you're feeling a need, a requirement for your life, make sure you're giving that to yourself. This is where, when you're lost, it's really hard because you almost don't know what it is you need or require, right? And so take baby steps. Pay attention to that inner child, you guys. Pay attention when she or he is trying to have a need met. If you were raised by a toxic person, you didn't have your emotional care that you could have received from a healthy adult, right? So you need to become that healthy adult for the inner child. They're always within, right? And it comes out in layers. You may feel like a very mature person who you're like, my inner what? And I'm not a child. But we all have a little piece of us where we go back to the feelings we had as a kid, or um, the way we experience life starts to come into the way we see life now. And to reconcile that in a way that is healing can mean giving some attention back to it. So there's all kinds of inner child work, and we should talk about that another time as well. So let's see. Make sure you're taking breaks from the overwhelm. If you're feeling lost, don't push it. Okay. Don't be like, oh my gosh, I have to find myself right now. I have to know who I am. I don't know who I am anymore. Don't worry about it. You can discover who you are, but setting judgment and placing a timeline that is unreasonable. I mean, I think timelines are great if they're reasonable. because otherwise, how are you going to get stuff done sometimes, right? Especially difficult things. But okay, it's back. It's back. It's this. Okay. I'm gonna wear a beret from now on. Forget it. All right. Let's see. And I also cannot see. Let's see. Also, some serious. Chris is saying some serious shadow work. It's not fun in the moment, but the piece that comes after with a release of that buried shame is priceless. And we should talk about shadow work as well. Can you remind me, Chris, or someone, please? Because that's a really good topic to do live as well. And it's a good topic to use in group coaching if people are interested, because it is it's a dark journey, so to speak, as we say, because it's a shadow work, right? We're talking about the parts of ourself that are hard to see because we don't want to look at them. They're creeping in the shadows, so to speak. It's the parts of our beliefs, our projections, our perceptions, all of that, that is almost imperceivable, but you can kind of see it and you know it needs to change. And it's about shining some light on that so that you can move forward in your life, because all those things in the shadows are much scarier when they're in the shadows. Once the light is shown on them, like Chris said, it can be a huge release of unburied. You're unburying the stuff that doesn't need shame around it, doesn't need guilt around it, right? Okay. All right. So, and that's a good one. Trying new things. Okay. So if you're lost and you're stuck and you are feeling like, I have no idea who I am, go try something new. This is an experiment. It may or may not work for you. Take it or leave it. Try something new and ask yourself, what do I think about this? What am I experiencing? You don't have to like it or dislike it. Don't place a judgment on it. Just experience yourself doing the new thing. Sometimes when you're doing something awkwardly, you get a sense of, first of all, you get a sense of the negative things you say to yourself that you can now sort of shake that up and get rid of that, because that's just a mess. You don't need that crap, right? You don't need to be talking bad about yourself. Stop gaslighting yourself. Stop blaming and shaming and criticizing yourself. That's not what we're here for. We're here to heal from all that. So sometimes when you're doing something new, that comes up. Sometimes when you're doing something new, for me, I can get really silly. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so fumbling. I don't know what I'm doing. Whatever. And then I'm laughing at the silliness. And then I have an experience of myself being silly, whatever. So you discover different parts of yourself. You're used to, if you're in a toxic relationship, only seeing the side of yourself that deals with toxic people. And that's not a side of anyone that is healthy. You can't be healthy in a toxic relationship. There's no way to relate in a healthy way to a toxic person except for self-protection. And that's only healthy for so long, right? You can't do that on long term. Redheaded Riding Hood said, that's a great idea, Lise. I did not even know who I was or what I wanted after 30 years with a covert narcissist. Oh, absolutely. Because you're just wrapped up around them for 30 years, right? So, and you've been told you're worthless in subtle ways by a covert narcissist, or not so subtle ways. So, yeah. Let's see. What did I say here? This is the last thing I had, and I don't have it. Anyway, I can just close that because I don't know. Anyway. So I'm going to read some of what you guys said. Jack says, I've noticed that what happens is if you get on with the time alone, the parts of you start revealing themselves. It's pretty cool. Heck yeah. If you're willing to pay attention to you, you're right there. It's all right there. But we're not paying attention to us. We're paying attention to our pain. We're paying attention to the things that have happened to us. We're paying attention to the narcissist. We're spending so much time worrying about what they're doing, why they're doing it, who they are, why they are, how could they, what could they. Those are all necessary to get through and to understand. But at a certain point, that's not what's going to heal you. What's going to heal you is working on you, focusing on you, because you matter. And the more you recognize you matter, the more you shine in the world. And the more you shine in the world, the more good comes to you and the more good you give back. And life's a lot better. And it's kind of just how it is. All right. Let's see. Anything else, you guys, today? Otherwise, I'll end this pretty soon so we don't go incredibly long. And as always, if you have something off topic, that's fine as well. I just sometimes can't get to it. Depends how much is there and what our time's like. Redheaded Riding Hood says, I found out I almost needed to let myself be angry. But that was so taboo and not allowed. But I realized later how helpful the anger was to be fed up and done. Heck yeah. Oh my gosh, yes. So many people aren't used to feeling angry. A lot of survivors are. They're fighters. They're the type that go in and someone does something to them and they come back with anger. That's one type of person, okay? Many people are the exact opposite, where either the anger was shamed out of them, was schooled out of them somehow, right? Like you were taught anger's not okay, or your nature is such that anger makes you uncomfortable, or your own anger scares you, or there's all kinds of reasons why anger can't be felt or won't be felt by a person. But it's a natural response to somebody being unjust, right? Like you see injustice in the world, you get angry, right? You may not express it, but you feel it. And a lot of us are taught to suppress that anger and never express our anger. And what that does is it causes all kinds of body problems. It causes all kinds of frustration. It causes feeling unheard because you're not even listening to you, right? Well, I'm getting angry now. It causes you know what it can do? You know what it did for me is now, oh, I have no problem with anger now. Actually, maybe I do a little bit in that I get angry too easily. But maybe it's not too easily. Maybe it's just the more you learn to set boundaries, and so now I've got to rein it back a little. I don't know. But yeah, it does help you set boundaries, right? It's just we don't want to live in anger forever. And the thing is, you're not going to. If you're a person that isn't a big anger person, don't be afraid of it. If you let yourself feel it, it can help you get out of these relationships. It can help you set boundaries. You have to realize you're important. Sometimes it's the lack of feeling any self importance. That sounds bad. The lack of feeling important as a human being, or feeling valid, feeling like you have any worth, is what makes it so it's hard to have anger towards somebody doing something unkind to you. I've had a lot of people say, I'm not really mad. I don't know. When the horrible things have happened, like, I'm like, you're not mad at that person. No, I could never get mad. It's interesting, right? It's a block that doesn't let you feel it. So it's great if you're able to feel it and express it. And if you can't, don't worry about it. You'll get there when you need to. Okay. The thing about all of this, when we're talking about how to heal, everything isn't going to speak to everyone right now. It may hit you in 6 months. It may not come ever. Every piece of this is individual, and there's not one answer to make it work for everyone. There's just try it and see. And if you are numb, or you don't feel the anger, or that just doesn't work for you, is it's like you're just not going to get there, that's okay too. It's just find another way to open up, so that you open up to yourself, so that you can keep these people out of your life. Okay. Yes, they people do get numb easily. Yeah. And they have recognized that getting angry doesn't help, and they are peacekeepers, right? And there's a high risk to the physical well-being of the peacekeeper, because they aren't able to let the energy of anger out. If nothing else, anger has big energy. You know what I mean? If you feel it ever. For me, it's volcanic feeling, and I have to calm down. I'm not an angry person. I'm not trying to say that. It's a newfound thing. And it's interesting. It's interesting to feel. And it makes me understand how much has been held in for how long, and where was that going. Where it was going was into pain in the body, okay, for me. So expressing it can mean calming down. You don't have to we don't have to express our anger through anger. We can express our anger after we've calmed down from it and say, that made me angry and here's why. Okay. Anyway, enough about anger. So I downsized, sold my house in Georgia where the narcissist lives, bought an RV, traveled around for a year. Oh, you must have had a lot of self-discovery then doing that, taking an adventure. Another way to self-discover, taking a vacation on your own with no one else. Go somewhere you feel safe and comfortable and or not, depending on who you are, and pay attention to what you notice about yourself. You're in a new environment and I think that opening up curiosity is a big piece of this, discovering who you are. Childlike curiosity helps. Okay. Um, okay. So, you guys, I should head out today. We'll be back next week, probably on Tuesday. It's the aim to be on around the same time on Tuesdays over here. And I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for coming in. Let me know what you need in the main comments, not the chat. So if you need something, if you want a topic talked about, if something's going on for you, let me know. I'll try to help you. And yeah, hit like, hit the thumbs up, whatever, hit subscribe. Again, if you are new over here and you came from the text from Angie, that text is stopping soon. And I think I have like one more I can send out or something. And so please subscribe here so that you get notifications of live streams. Come make this your own. Come join us and talk so that we can keep talking about this stuff and keep getting the healing going and get the information out there for people. So, and for yourself. So, okay. Take care. I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.